His dad was a record promoter and radio personality, so music was a part of Kenny Wayne Shepherd's life from the beginning. By age 7, Stevie Ray Vaughan solidified his love for the guitar. Since then, Shepard has been nominated for 5 Grammys, won numerous other music awards, and still holds the record for longest-running album on the Billboard Blues chart for Trouble Is. Kenny joins us with a new album ahead of his appearance at the House of Blues this Sunday. Good morning, Kenny.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing well. All right, you were born in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is down the street and around the corner from us. I mentioned that your dad had a career in music, so you were kind of born into it. But little did Grandma know what was going to happen with those little plastic guitars she bought you with those S&H green stamps. You say you wore them out like candy.
Yeah, and maybe she did know. Maybe she had a feeling, but she got me those little acoustic guitars, and they had little nylon strings on them, and I could pick out little things like "Smoke on the Water" and "Mary Had a Little Lamb" and things like that. But it was after seeing Stevie Ray Vaughan perform for the first time when I was 7 years old, and I actually got to meet him that day, and it changed my life. And from that moment forward, I just wanted to get my hands on an electric guitar and start trying to learn how to make that thing, sound the way he made it sound, or like play with the fire and the passion that he played with. And it's been a journey for me. It's been exciting.
Yeah, and meeting Stevie Ray Vaughan can certainly do it. I oftentimes am reminded of the story with Stevie Ray. I was working in Austin, Texas. We were walking down 6th Street and we heard some music coming out of one of the clubs, and I said, hey, let's just dip in here real quick and see what's going on. And we watched him, and I looked at him and I went, man, you're really good. You keep that up, you're gonna be good one day. And we didn't know at the time that it was Stevie Ray Vaughan. All right, you took to it and you loved it, and you learned, you were self-taught, but you learned like one note at a time. You literally went through cassette tapes of your dad's music and played one note at a time.
Yeah, I played by ear, and it was a pretty tedious process. I don't know if I'd recommend it to everybody, but it's the way that I learned, and it was one note at a time, one chord at a time. Start at the beginning of the song, find the first note, rewind, play it again, find the first and the second note, rewind, and so forth and so on until you stitch the whole song together. And by the time I made it to the end of the song, I had memorized everything before it. And then after doing that enough and, just playing around, at some point, something clicked and the instrument started to really make sense to me. But, the bullet point trajectory of my career was I got that guitar at 7. By the time I was 13, I got on stage down in New Orleans on Bourbon Street for the first time. At 14, I did my first demo sessions. At 15, I formed my band and started performing, in the Arklatex area. And by the age of 16, I signed a major record label contract.
Yeah, you were made to do this. I'm going to back up to when you were going through teaching yourself guitar. You used a cheap Stratocaster. Even that came full circle for you because you have your signature model with Fender now.
Yeah. And, for a guitar player, that's the be all end all, to have your own model of your favorite guitar with your name on it. And thankfully, this is the second version of that for me. So we did the first Kenny Wayne Shepherd Strat back in 2007. And then right in the middle of 2020, we released the new version, which is a beautiful guitar, and it looks and sounds great.
Yeah. You mentioned getting up on stage, at 13 years old. You played to like 4 a.m. It led to a record deal. And then let's fast forward, 1995, you debuted Ledbetter Heights, 7 singles in the top 10. Your song Deja Voodoo, heavy radio rotation, and then of course the record for the longest running album in Billboard Blues chart, Trouble Is. What is it like to get that kind of confirmation, again and again and again?
Well, it was pretty amazing. I mean, when you put out your first album, and this September will be the 30-year anniversary of the release of Ledbetter Heights, but you don't know what to expect. You don't know if the people are going to they're going to embrace you, they're going to reject you, if it's going to connect with people or not. But thankfully, we reached people and we connected with them, and we started cultivating a fan base that's now been with us for 3 decades. Because when you become a fan of blues and blues rock and roll, it's like you're a lifelong fan. And so we've been able to depend on them for all these years, and we show up and they show up for us as well.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty incredible. And even after doing the first album, the second album, Trouble Is, came out and surpassed the success of the first album. And then we had that huge hit with the song Blue on Black that was setting records and winning all kinds of awards. So it's been a pretty great ride for sure.
Yeah, blues and rock and roll will steal your soul. All right. The other thing that you did that so many people really loved, and I can watch this over and over again, 10 Days Out, Blues from the Back Roads. It was an interesting way to present blues music.
Well, for me, it was a passion project because even though the music that I create isn't necessarily always traditional blues, deep down, I have such love and appreciation for the blues genre, and so many of those guys are my heroes. So we went through the South of the U.S. and we loaded a bus up with recording gear, and we loaded another bus up with a film crew, and we sought out like these real deal, authentic blues musicians, and we went to them in their environments, and we just set up on the spot, completely spontaneous, and we made a record with those different artists, and some of them were legendary. We had B.B. King and the guys from Muddy Waters Band and the guys from Howlin' Wolf's band, Pine Top Perkins, and all those guys. But some of them were also like the unsung heroes of the blues, some really talented people that never broke into the mainstream. And I just wanted to expose my fans and the rest of the world to this incredible amount of talent. And so, yeah, that's something that's really going to live on forever. It's an incredible piece. It's documenting authentic American music history.
Yeah, I mean, you say authentic American music history because it is uniquely American where blues was born.
Absolutely, 100%. And one of the great things about it is that if you really trace all popular music, if you connect the dots back to the origin, you inevitably find your way back to blues music. So blues music spawned so many things, and Muddy Waters, I think, said it best when he said the blues had a baby and they named it rock and roll.
Yeah, you know, one of your song titles gave me the blues. Okay, Dirt on My Diamonds. We can never have dirt on our diamonds.
Yes, but you know how a diamond is actually found, and it's usually dirty and it's not polished and it looks kind of rough and not as impressive. But you know, it's about seeing the full potential.
Yeah. Starting out as a lump of coal, right? All right, you did your European tour and blues, uniquely American genre, as we talked about, and the Europeans absolutely love it. But you have your new album with Bobby Rush. What can people expect?
Well, so we're coming to town, and we just started this tour. We just did the first two shows, and I'm very excited. It's another passion project for me. It's another opportunity to play that traditional blues with one of the originators. Bobby Rush is 91 years old. He still performs at such an incredibly high level. This record that we did together is really impressive, and I'm very proud to be a part of it because, you know, I often think about if I was going to play somebody a blues album, a traditional blues album, to turn them on to the blues and hopefully make them a fan, you know, if you had one shot, what would that record be? And I'm really proud to say that I think this is one of those albums that would get the job done. So the show is incredible. He and I are starting the show in a very intimate setting where we play songs from our record together, and then we take an intermission, and then I come back out with my band, the Kenny Wayne Shepard Band, and we're doing songs from our latest album, Dirt on My Diamonds, Volume Number 2, and songs from our catalog that now spans over 30 years, and it's a very special evening, and I think everybody who's going to come is going to really enjoy it.
Yeah, and let me round out with the importance of exposing your children to things, even if it was the little plastic guitars in the beginning, because you never know what your kids are going to take to. Even if your child is never going to be a Kenny Wayne Shepherd, to expose them to the beauty of music.
Well, absolutely. I mean, music is therapeutic. It's healing. It's fun. It's sad. It's every emotion imaginable wrapped up into beautiful sound. And so I think that's something that universally we all appreciate, we can all enjoy. And you just never know like what children are absorbing and what that might do to them and what path that might send them down. And music is a really great thing. So, you know, with my kids, we have instruments around. I don't push them into it, but they're all very musical in their own way, and we'll see what they choose to do with it.
Yeah, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, thank you so much for joining us today. You're going to make me go by Deborah K. Duncan. I'm just going to use my full name from now on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, look forward to your concert at the House of Blues. All right, you can watch Kenny Wayne Shepherd live with the iconic bluesman Bobby Rush in support of their new album, Young Fashioned Ways, this Sunday, May 4th at 7 p.m. at the House of Blues. Tickets are still available for a night of guitar greatness. For more information, visit greatdayhouston.com and we will connect you.